Hi everybody, I'm April with Just Sew, and we are making a video today specifically for our Farm Girl Vintage 2 Block of the Month members. So we are going to do a kickoff party, and some people can't come either because of distance or it doesn't work with their plans. So we are going to make a video for you to make sure you don't miss out on all of our tips and tricks. And also it's something you can refer to throughout the year as you're working on the project month to month, if you need to look back and see the things that we talked about. So, as you know, we're doing some blocks from our Farm Girl Vintage 2 by Lori Holt, and you'll see behind me we have our finished sample of what you're going to be making. So I want to jump right in and give you some tips and tricks, okay? So I'm going to be using page 67 as the example, with the book called the block called the Hand Mixer Block, okay? So as you'll notice, the way that Lori Holt lays it out, she has an example of the finished block. Then she has listed the different parts of the block itself. So this says background, mixer body, mixer handle and plug, trim, and beater, okay? And then over here she has 6-inch, what you would cut for the 6-inch and what you would cut to make the 12-inch block. And down here she has all the pieces labeled A, B, C, D, all the way down. This one goes all the way to W. She continues to give you step-by-step instructions. We're very happy with how clear her instructions are. You just read them and then you do them. It's very easy. Okay. It can be a little overwhelming if you look all of this at once and aren't sure what you're doing, but don't let it overwhelm you. You'll notice that I have Post-it notes covering up the column that says 6-inch block. And this is one of my first tips. When you're going to cut a 12-inch block, I would recommend hiding the 6-inch. I've made many mistakes because my eyes just wander, and I get so concentrated on the fact that I'm doing background and B, and I accidentally cut the dimensions for the 6-inch block. So I like to cover it up so that I can then just focus on the 12-inch column. And the same for if you're going to do a 6-inch block, take the Post-its and move them over to cover up the 12-inch. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is cut your pieces and then label them. So you will get in your kit, we will lay out a table just like this that will show you the description and which fabric we're using for that. So we'll have a background and then which fabric we're going to use for that. So you take your background fabric and you start cutting, starting with the one that has the largest dimension, and make all of your pieces. Then you're going to label them. I just use just a regular piece of paper and a regular pen and paper scissors, and I write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I cut them apart and just make little labels for myself. Then you'll see here that I pin them on the piece of paper. I write what the dimension was and letter C. And once you have everything cut and labeled, then it will be very easy for you to start your instructions, because then she'll say, take letter C and letter F and put them together, and then you can find your C and you can find your F and then lay them together. One thing to note is the background fabric is a white on white, and so it has a wrong side and a right side, and it's sometimes tricky to tell. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that, to make sure that you're sewing on the correct side. So be aware of that. Throughout all of her designs, something you're going to be doing multiple times per each square is drawing a diagonal line on the back of your fabric. So we recommend having a Frixion pen on hand and a ruler. We love this ruler right here. We love it so much that we're going to give it to you as a gift in your first kit. This is a 6-inch ruler, and it is 1 inch wide, and there are lines going this way that mark the 1/4 inch, which you need a lot in this project. So you'll use this ruler, lay it diagonal, corner to corner on the fabric, use your Frixion pen or a marking pen, and draw the line down the middle. You'll take the marked piece and lay it on the coordinating piece of fabric that is laid out in the instructions. And you see you make a true line down from corner to corner. What it's going to be, when it's finished, it's going to lay back this way. So we recommend sewing one hair along this line to the side of the corner, okay? That way when you fold it back, instead of it looking like this, where there's an extra little border on it, it'll lay back flush, like this. Some other helpful tools for this project are having the straight pins that have a very small head on them. Sometimes they're called beading pins. Those are really helpful for when you're labeling and stacking your fabric. They don't take up a lot of extra space. Of course, you're gonna need a rotary cutter and some type of cutting mat. We really like these mats that rotate. There's a small one, a 7" by 7", and this is a 13" by 13" rotating mat. This works really well for this tiny project where you oftentimes need to kind of get around at different angles. We also really enjoy this size of a ruler. This is a 3x9 ruler, and it's great when you're working with the tiny pieces. It's long enough that you'll be able to cut almost any of your pieces that you need to, and it's just a really great size for that. Another thing that you are going to need constantly is an iron, and you can do an ironing board, but we have really enjoyed having the wool mat that's a personal size that's right next to our machine, because then after every step and every stage we can just iron it. There's a lot of ironing in this project. Another thing you want to be really, really careful about is your 1/4" seams, because the measuring is so precise in these projects. You need them all to match and line up with each other, that the 1/4" is really important. So our 1/4" foot on our machine became our best friend during this project. So we highly recommend, if you don't already have a 1/4" foot, you might want to consider getting one. Okay, back to the book for a second. After each section that you make, it will tell you what that should measure. So for example, I'm on page 67 with the hand mixer block, and right under the chart, after I've done this piece right here, this part, it tells me left handle unit should measure, and then it has the measurements. It has a measurement of 1½ by 1 3/4, and then it has in parentheses the 2½ by 3. So in parentheses is the 12 by 12 size, and then the one that's not in parentheses is the 6 by 6 block. So depending on which block we're making at the time, will determine which one of those you should look at. But that's how you'll know. I encourage you to measure those after every step. That's why these little rulers are great, so you don't have to like go to a big cutting mat and measure. You can just measure it really quick with your ruler. Or this one too, sometimes you can do it just with this one. So measure each of those as you go, and that'll help your whole block connect together. In each kit that you will receive the ingredients to make a 12" block, like this, and then a 6" block flower. And we will also give you the material to put a border around your 6" block to make it into a 12" block. If you see behind me, we have full 12" blocks, and in between is the 6" block. And the way we've laid it out is so that it alternates, so that you can appreciate the bigger blocks in between. When you receive your kit, it will have, again, enough for 2 projects, 2 squares, okay? So there will be a paper inside. This is what the January one looks like, okay? So inside, you'll have detailed instructions. We have color copies of the way our block looks, and the background, the table is laid out very similar to the table in your book. So it's going to say background, and then the fabric that we use for that background. Apron, the fabric we use for the apron. Apron neck, pockets, and ties, and then the fabric we use for that, and so on. So this is going to be the 12" block, and this is going to be the 6" block. And down here are instructions on how to add the border onto your 6" block to make it into the 12" block. And in your kit, you will have the material for both. This is for the 6" block, and this is for the 12" block. Also in our kit, we have something that unique that it just brings a little fingerprint of Just Sew. Grandma Julie is writing a story about her farm life. She grew up on a farm in Hilliard, Ohio, and she hand selected which blocks we were going to use based on stories that she has from her time on the farm. So every month you'll get one of her stories. So I encourage you to read them. They're obviously not a requirement, they're just for fun. But this one is called Aprons on the Farm. And this is a picture of her grandmother, so my great-grandmother and Kelsey's great-great-grandmother wearing her apron, and it's mentioned in the story. So we hope you just enjoy that. It'll be fun. Another thing to think about is once you have gone through all the mental exercise to figure out this puzzle that's in front of you, it's just as easy to make 2 blocks as it is to make 1. So we made 2 blocks of every one that you see up here, and we are doing a different project with the second block. So for example, up here you'll see the apron. That's our January 12-inch block. We made a second one over here so that you can see a different way to use this. So we made an apron out of our apron block. So if you think you might want to buy a second kit so you can make 2 blocks, 2 of the same blocks, then you're welcome to do that. Just let us know and we'll make sure we have an extra one ready for you. So it'll be an extra $15. For those of you who have selected shipping when you signed up for the block of the month, if you see any of these products here that you are interested in purchasing, just let us know. You can call us up on the phone and we can do an order with you over the phone and make sure those items get shipped with you with your next kit. So we're really excited about going on this adventure with you with our first block of the month. We hope you have a great time, and just call us or email us if you ever have any questions.